After the death of Bleda in 445 AD, Attila emerged as the sole ruler of the vast Hunnic Empire. In 447 AD, a powerful earthquake struck Constantinople, severely damaging its walls. Many frontier forts were still being rebuilt from the devastation of earlier Hunnic raids. As a result of these strains, the Romans ceased paying tribute, which prompted Attila to launch a new campaign. Attila rode south the Danube and advancing through the province of Moesia. However, the Gothic magister militum Arnegisclus led a massive Roman force, on paper nearly 71,000 men, drawn from three field armies, Praesental, Thracian and Illyrian, plus local forces gathering en route, and both sides clashed at the River Utus. According to most modern reconstructions, the battlefield was a flat plain, with the River Utus anchoring one flank and woodland on the other. Arnegisclus positioned his army on the wide open plain. His infantry formed a solid main line in the centre. On the left, he anchored auxiliaries. Behind the main line, he kept a strong reserve of heavy cavalry, equites, clibanarii, Gothic foederati, and other mounted troops. On the far flanks, he placed horse archer contingents to blunt the speed of the Hunnic light horse. Opposite them, Attila drew up his mixed host. In the middle, he concentrated levies, Gepids, Siri, Ostrogoths, and other foot and heavy horse to hold the Roman centre. On his right and left, he deployed his best light horse, supported by heavy cavalry. Attila himself stayed mounted among his elite Hunnic cavalry, directing the fight from behind the line. The battle began with Hunnic horse archers galloping close to the Roman wings, loosing clouds of arrows before wheeling away. In the centre, the Roman infantry began to advance slowly. Attila immediately committed his infantry, and waves of Hunnic cavalry swept around both wings. In the centre, the Romans cut down the Hunnic infantry. Nearly half of them were wiped out. The clibanarii surged forward, meeting and briefly throwing back the Gothic and Gepid cavalry. Several Hunnic horse archers were trapped and cut down by Roman infantry. However, Attila still held back a mass of fresh horsemen on the left. As the Romans became vulnerable, waves of light horse and lancers swept around the open flank, pelting the Romans with arrows before crashing home with lances. The pressure on Arnegisclus's left grew unbearable. His horse was killed beneath him. Refusing to retreat, he fought on foot with his men, encouraging them to hold the line until he was cut down in the melee. The Roman line lost cohesion and was massacred. After the battle, Marcianople fell immediately to the Huns and was burned to ashes. Even worse, Constantinople itself stood especially vulnerable, as its inhabitants had been weakened by the plague that followed. Yet the Praetorian prefect of the East, Constantinus, marshalled every able-bodied citizen to work side by side. Within 2 months, the Theodosian walls were hastily but effectively rebuilt, and a picked force of Isaurian troops was brought into the city to strengthen its defences. The heavy losses that Attila's host had suffered at the Battle of Utus dissuaded him from risking a direct siege of the capital. Instead, he turned south, sacking and killing many, reaching as far as Thermopylae. In the Chersonesus, he crushed a second Roman army. Callinicus of Rufinianae, a contemporary living in Thrace, wrote in his Life of Saint Hypatius that, More than 100 cities were captured, Constantinople almost came into danger, and most men fled from it. Peace was finally restored only with a new treaty in the autumn of 447. Theodosius II paid an immediate indemnity of 6,000 pounds of gold and an annual tribute of 2,100 pounds. A depopulated strip of imperial territory, extending from Singidunum to Novae, and about 5 days' march south of the Danube, was also set aside as a no-man's land to serve as a buffer zone between Hunnic and Roman forces.